I woke up last week asking myself, what did I even learn this week? Guys, welcome back to Nate's Learning Nuggets. Today we are taking a look at systems. Systems can be anything from the way that a train moves across to how you set up a software management system to how you just integrate new people onto a team, how you train people, everything as systems. Now, what a system is simply a process by which you accomplish something. So in my case, in my world, I have a lot of systems that I need to be using, but I'm also working on developing a lot of systems, and that's what we're going to get into today. So this past week, I was working on solving an issue that involved a relay system that controls power. So basically, there's a remote switch that remotely controls how the power turns on and off in a different location, which is fine and great. What the challenge was on it, though, was it also ran through what's called a sequencer, so it turned everything on and off in those remote locations with a specific time gap in between all of them. So with that time gap set up, the problem was a unit on that died out. The other challenge was that because it's been many, many years and this was in place and it was something that I inherited, nothing was labeled accordingly on this. So there's two systems that I need to work on and develop as a result of all of this. Number one is, how are we labeling things through all of these micro setups to be able to clearly establish that? That in itself is a system. What does that look like to accomplish the goal of having everything in an organized and clean manner? Well, the other aspect was in terms of the actual setup of the remote system as well, and the relays and the sequence that was in place. So what I looked at and saw it all, I took a moment, looked at what was going on. It was a jumbled mess of cables. No surprise there. But in that jumbled mess of cables we were dealing with, I looked and realized, you know what? If I buy this one piece of equipment, I'll have the ability of setting up a control network that's remotely controlled that allows one switch to turn on and off my entire system without any issues at all. So right now I have one switch that turns on and off my entire audio system. And what I want to do now is get one switch that turns on and off the entire lighting system accordingly. Well, how it's set up right now is I have to go to different circuit panels and light switches all around the building and turn those on and off accordingly when I want to turn my system on and off. Takes a moment, but more importantly, it's just annoying. And sometimes what a system does, and this is the part that's really key, a system helps your process be smoother and simpler. So in my case, my system that I'm setting up, it's a hardware, electronic control system. But what that system does is makes my workflow a lot easier and more simplified for other users and operators to be able to operate things accordingly. So that with one flip of a switch, everything's turned on as it needs to be turned on, everything's turned off as it needs to be turned off, and no issues at hand. So I'm going to be working on that over the next few months of getting all of that established, but step one was establishing exactly what my system is going to be for accomplishing that. So in this case, it's for my lighting system that I'm setting up. So the control system that I'm putting in place, I have my switch at one point. That's going to feed to a sequencer point, which will then feed to all of my remote controlled relays that are plugged into all of my different circuits all throughout the building. So step one is going to be mapping all of that out. Step two is then going to be installing all of those things. But the good news is we've got a plan, and I'm excited for what's going to happen to improving our processes with everything, making things a lot simpler and easier to use through this enhanced system. So I hope that helps you guys out. Something I got to experiment and learn and grow in a little bit this week. I'll see you next time right here on Nate's Learning Nuggets. Thanks, guys.